Your lesson essential question is, how do we compare and contrast two stories by the same author? So today we're going to be looking at just some pictures from two stories by the same author, and we'll be talking about the characters, the setting, and the theme of just the photos. So again, we're getting into comparing and contrasting two stories by the same author. Yesterday we talked about how characters respond to events and challenges throughout stories, and they often learn a lesson. We call that lesson the moral or central message. We can compare and contrast the plot. So we know the plot is the characters, the setting, the beginning, middle, and end, and that includes the problem and solution. And then we can compare and contrast the theme of the stories. So what are we learning from the characters' actions? So when you read several stories that an author has written about the same characters, you can compare and contrast the themes, setting, and plots. Sometimes an author will write about the same characters in different books. I know a lot of you have read chapter books from a series where you're reading about the same characters, but it's different books, right? The characters might be the same, but when you compare and contrast the stories, you'll find many differences. Each story by the same author will have its own plot or set of events. The stories may also have different settings where the action takes place. You can also compare the themes, which are messages or lessons the stories offer. Let's look at the two book covers from a series called The Adventures of Supercat and think about what is similar and what is different in the covers. So take a look at that first one. What do you see? Take a second and talk about what you see in that picture. You probably said you see a cat. He's on a building and it looks like he's helping a kitten who happens to be falling, right? Take a second and talk about what you see in the second picture. You probably talked about how you see the same cat and it looks like his hand is over top of a volcano, kind of stopping it. So our characters in both texts are the same. We have Supercat in both. This one, text 1, has a kitten in it also. What is the setting of this first text? On top of a building. And then the second one is on a volcano. The plot of the first story is Supercat is rescuing this kitten. What's happening in the second story? Supercat is stopping a volcano from erupting. All right, if you look at the second story, one of the themes is that we can use our powers to help others. Take a look at the first book. Do you think we can use that same theme for book 1? Is he using his powers to help others? That's what you're going to be writing about in your discussion posts today.